Go.
My story is called Aayoga with Many Excuses. Aayoga was the most beautiful girl in her village. She would constantly sit in her room and stare at her reflection in her big brassy bowl. She would look at herself and say, "Oh, what beautiful eyebrows I have! What gorgeous red lips I have! And look at my rosy cheeks! No wonder why everybody always says that I'm the most beautiful girl in the village." Meanwhile, her mother was in the kitchen making some cherry cakes when she called out to Aayoga and said, "Aayoga, will you go down to the stream and fetch me some water for my cherry cakes?" Well, Aayoga couldn't be bothered to do such a task. She said to her mother, "Oh, mother, there's no way that I could go down to the stream and get you some water. I might fall into the stream." Well, her mother said, "Aayoga, you could just hold on to a branch." "Oh, no, that branch might break, mother." "Well, you could just hold on to a bigger branch." "Oh, no, that bigger branch might tear my mittens." "Well, we could just mend your mittens." No, my mittens are leather and they might break the needle." "Well, Aayoga, we could just use a bigger needle." No, because that bigger needle might prick my little fingers." "Well, Aayoga, you could just wear a thimble." "No, those thimbles seem to pinch my fingers as well, mother. There's no possible way that I can do what you ask." So Aayoga's mother was so frustrated with her, she decided to just ask her sister to go down to the stream and fetch some water. Meanwhile, Aayoga was sitting in her room just staring at her reflection in the brassy bowl when she smelled something so delicious coming from the kitchen. She went over to her mother and saw that the cherry cakes were ready, and she said, "Mother, can I have one of those cherry cakes?" "No, Aayoga, there's no way that you should have a cherry cake. They're too hot and you might burn your pretty little fingers." "Well, I could just wear my mittens." "No, you shouldn't wear your mittens because then they'll get dirty." "Well, I could just wash my mittens." "No, you shouldn't wash your mittens because they're leather. They'll get stiff and wet." "Well, I could just kind of lay them out in the sun and then beat them with a stick if they get too stiff." No, you shouldn't do that because then you'll prick your little finger with that stick. This is way too dangerous for you, Aayoga. You shouldn't do this. These cherry cakes are not for you and your beautiful, delicate hands." Aayoga was so frustrated. Her mother actually gave the cherry cakes to her sister, and her sister went down to the stream to eat and munch on her cherry cakes, and Aayoga followed her. And Aayoga sat right next to her and stretched out her neck like so, and smelled that cherry cake and glanced at her sister with that jealous look of hers. And her sister looked over at Aayoga and said, "You know, you could have half of my cherry cake if you'd like." Oh, well, Aayoga was furious at that. "How dare you? How dare you offer me half of your cherry cake that you slobbered all over? That's disgusting. Off with you. Go away now. Shoo! Go! And Aayoga's sister was so frightened by her, she jumped up and ran away. And Aayoga continued to follow her and kept going, go. Well, in that moment, something happened to Aayoga. Her arms started turning into birds' wings and feathers started growing out of them. And she started flapping her wings almost as she was shooing her sister away. And then her neck, as she was stretching it out to smell that cherry cake, began to get longer like a goose's neck. Aayoga has turned into a goose. And Aayoga was running after her sister and happened to fall into the stream like a silly girl. But it didn't matter because her body turned into a goose and her neck was long like a goose's neck and she had the bird's wings. She started staring at herself in that stream as she was swimming along and saying, "Oh, just look at my beautiful beak. how gorgeous it is. And look at my smooth white feathers, how beautiful they are. And look at my beautiful eyes. Until this day, Aayoga the goose continued swimming around in that stream, and every so often she would call out Aayoga ga ga so that nobody would ever forget her name. And that is the story of Aayoga with many excuses.